It's a Munchu. Welcome back to... Oh, no. So, I've made some additions to my base, but someone else has as well. I've been potatoed. Anyway, I was going to, and I still intend to, work on getting some mob heads today. You see, I got a couple friends now. Princess and Duke. Say hello to my viewers, Princess and Duke. Aren't they adorable? I found a bunch of wolves when I was out collecting resources for this project. I needed a lot of powdered snow. This is Edding and Manju talking now, and it's kind of weird because I didn't have much to say as I was building this. For much of it, I was on a Discord chat with some other people, and I felt self-conscious about talking to the camera for the recording while I was on a live chat. So I really didn't talk much about things that I was doing as I was doing them, up until the end when it was fully built. I can say now, having built the thing, in hindsight, I probably could have done a better job of it, but it works pretty well. It's just, there are some slight modifications I could have made in hindsight that would have made it work even better if I thought of it. Oftentimes when I make a farm like this, I'll test it out in a test world first, make sure that I've tweaked it well and that it functions the way it's supposed to. But in this case, I already built a mob head farm in season 1, and I thought I could do it from memory, and I wouldn't need to plan it out ahead of time very well. That led to a couple of issues. The primary one was I didn't bring all the building materials I needed at first. I had to go back and get more later on. Initially, I'm placing this farm near to the drown farm that I built earlier. So the AFK spot's going to be at the same level above an ocean, but I'm going to platform over a little more than 100 blocks away from where that drown farm is. Now, this is a realm, so it's sim distance 4, and 100 blocks away is plenty far away. If it was a larger sim distance, I might need to platform out a bit further. The way you get mob heads in vanilla Minecraft without any add-ons or mods, when a creeper is struck by lightning, it becomes a charge creeper. And when a charge creeper explodes, it makes a bigger explosion than an ordinary creeper, and any mobs that are blown up by the charge creeper drop their heads. At least that's true of zombies, skeletons, other creepers, piglins, and I think possibly wither skeletons, when blown up by a charge creeper, will drop their heads. So all I have to do is get a charge creeper to blow up a bunch of other mobs. And I can do that by making what essentially is a general purpose mob farm, which will give me creepers, zombies, and skeletons. And then arranging to get lightning to strike any creepers and set them off with a flint and steel, blowing up all the other mobs next to them. So the difference from a normal general purpose mob farm is I have to collect the mobs in a drop chute made of obsidian. So it's blast resistant against the creepers' explosions, and this collection system underneath with a hopper minecart is not going to get blown up because it's protected by a barrier of obsidian. To get lightning to strike the creepers that are going to be collecting at the bottom of this drop chute, I can use a trident enchanted with channeling, but instead of throwing it directly at the creeper, I can throw it at a nearby lightning rod and cause the lightning to strike the lightning rod instead of striking the creeper directly. This means I'm not doing a lot of damage to the creeper, it's only getting a little bit of damage from the lightning strike. But also I can use some redstone here. Put a sticky piston underneath the lightning rod, throw the channeling trident at the lightning rod and just leave it there. And I can use a lever to activate the sticky piston, moving the lightning rod and the channeling trident that's stuck to it. And every time that lightning rod is moved by the sticky piston, lightning strikes the lightning rod again. So at the flip of the switch, I can get lightning to strike. Which is a pretty cool mechanic. It works in Java and in Bedrock. I got the inspiration for it from something I saw somebody do in Java Edition, so I know it works in both versions. When I built this farm in Season 1, I just had a static lightning rod and threw the channeling trident and the lightning rod, but the problem with that is I had to have just the right angle to be able to throw the trident, which was cumbersome. Also, I figured out that there doesn't have to be a clear open line of sight between the lightning strike and the creeper. It just has to be within 3 or 4 blocks of the lightning strike and it will turn into a charged creeper. That means I can actually put a barrier of obsidian between the piston and the lightning rod and the bottom of the drop chute, and that way when the charged creeper explodes, it's not going to break the lightning rod every time like it did in the previous design I had. In a typical mob farm that I would make, I'd have the drop chute right in the center of the farm, but lightning will not strike underground. So instead I have to use water streams to push all the mobs away from directly underneath the farm to a place where I can get lightning to hit. The base of the obsidian drop chute is at Y194. The top of the drop chute is at Y204. I build a channel leading to it that goes out 8 blocks, then up a block, then out 7 blocks, then up another block, and then out 6 blocks. So I can have a single water stream that will push the mobs along that channel all the way to the obsidian drop chute. I'm still going to push all the mobs that spawn on the spawning platforms into a central pit. It's a 5x5 pit, and the bottom of that pit is at Y209. The first spawning platform is at Y218. I'm working on a sim distance of 4, which means mobs will only spawn between 24 blocks away and 44 blocks away, I believe. So I have a very tight area to work in, and I'm kind of doing this math in my head rather than planning it out ahead of time. But I believe this is going to work out, that all the spawning platforms will be far enough but not too far away to allow mobs to spawn on it. The lowest platform is a 19x19 box, or 21x21 if you want to include the walls, with a 5x5 pit in the middle, and I fill in a 2x2 area at the 4 corners of the platform. I put a single block on level with the spawning platform right in the center of that 5x5 pit. Once that's done, I can break the temporary scaffolding and then put down a water stream that pushes the mobs at the bottom of the pit off into that channel. Most of the mobs that spawn on these platforms are going to get pushed by water streams into the pit, but baby zombies will not be pushed by the water streams. And so I'm going to use a turtle egg on that block in the center of the pit to lure the baby zombies into the center of the pit as well. I'm going to have 1 turtle egg in the center of each of the spawning platforms, and there's 5 total spawning platforms. The turtle eggs themselves will be protected by trapdoors, which also will trick the baby zombies into thinking they can pathfind over to it to stomp up and down on it. I need to have enough head clearance above each turtle egg so that the baby zombies will think they'll be able to jump up and down on them. That means that I need to have an extra block of clearance between each platform. So I place 3 scaffolding, and then another block, and then another 3 scaffolding, and then another block. So each of the spawning platforms are 4 blocks apart from each other. Another problem I have to deal with in this farm is spiders. I'm not preventing them from spawning, but they're too big to fit down that channel, and I don't really need them because I'm not going to be able to get mob heads from them. So I'm going to use powdered snow over the pit on each platform, where the spiders are going to get caught up and eventually freeze in the powdered snow. Now I'm going to cover this entire platform with scaffolding and extend the scaffolding out 1 block into the pit. This takes advantage of a mechanic that's unique to Bedrock Edition, where mobs can spawn inside scaffolding. They can't do that in Java Edition. Because of that, I can put water streams on top of the scaffolding and use those water streams to push all the mobs into the central pit. Speaking of mob spawning mechanics, there is a change coming to Bedrock Edition in 1.21 in how mobs spawn. Before 1.21, in Bedrock Edition, mobs spawn on the northwest corner of a block. But with the upcoming new update, they're changing that so that they spawn in the center of a block. And they're doing that without consideration to what it might do to farms like this. Because in extreme terrain, you can have walls that prevent spawns from happening. Now, this change only applies to mobs that spawn naturally in the world, not mobs that spawn inside structures. Structure spawns still occur on the northwest corner of a block. So it can negatively impact some mob farms, but not many of them. And in fact, this mob farm I'm building will actually be helped by this change, because the walls on the north and west side of this farm will no longer block spawns. So it will make it slightly more efficient with this new change. So now I'm going to start the next platform above the first one, and here's where I start to have regrets about things I could have done differently. I put lower slabs on top of the water in order to prevent Endermen from spawning, but I'm only extending that 7 blocks out from the left and right side of the spawning platform, leaving a gap in the center. Now, this works for a general purpose mob farm usually, because by shaping the upper platforms differently, I'm preventing mobs from all getting pushed into that central chute and falling a long distance down that central chute. If I have the bottom of the chute with like a trident killer directly underneath the mob farm, and the mobs are falling more than 24 blocks from the upper level platforms, they're going to get killed by the fall damage instead of by a trident killer or by whacking at them with a sword. So doing it this way means the mobs will first fall to the lower platform and then get pushed into the central pit. In this case, because I have a water stream at the bottom of that pit, I didn't need to do that. I could have made every platform exactly the same shape as the bottom platform, and it would have been actually a little more efficient. It also still creates space where Endermen can spawn on the bottom platform. And the problem with that is you're going to end up with Endermen spawning in that platform, immediately being in contact with water, and then teleporting to your AFK area to get out of the water. Another issue I had was when I extended the scaffolding covering the next platform up, I didn't extend it 1 block over the ledge. So you had 8 blocks of scaffolding. And so when I started putting out the water streams, water flowed over the edge of the scaffolding. Well, that's not a big deal. It's easy to fix, except that that waterfall destroyed the powdered snow in the lower platform, so I had to replace that powdered snow again. I also discovered another issue with spiders that were spawning were taking too long to freeze in the powdered snow. I think they were trying to climb up the trap doors and getting out of the powdered snow. So I added 4 extra powdered snow on each level to hopefully keep the spiders in the powdered snow so that they will be dispatched more quickly. It's still going to take them a while before the powdered snow gets rid of them. I miscalculated a few things about materials I would need for this. I actually ended up needing a lot more powdered snow than I thought I would need, because I was using 8 powdered snow per platform instead of 4. I also used only 1 shulker box full of scaffolding. I thought I would need a lot more than that. I guess if I'd made every platform the same way I made the bottom platform, I would have used a lot more scaffolding. But as it turned out, I only needed 1 shulker box of scaffolding. And as far as the just building block materials, I ran out, and I had to scrounge up whatever I had on hand. I mined a bunch of basalt because I have a basalt generator and I can get a lot of that quickly to finish up the upper platforms. Altogether, this was 5 platforms for spawning, with platforms 2 through 5 being the same and the bottom platform being unique from the other ones. And in hindsight, I should have made all the platforms the same as the lowest platform. Regardless, it functions well enough. It was getting late, and I was just finishing the roof, and I was desperate to get this done. So instead of going back for even more basalt, I finished the roof with a combination of nether brick, red nether brick, and spruce planks with spruce slabs over the top of everything to spawn-proof it. It's not pretty, but it works. I wanted to build up a few mobs before I set this off, but I have this wall of obsidian between the mobs and the lightning rod, but it should still work. Yeah. Charge those creepers up. Now, light it. Unfortunately, there's no way I can make these blast resistant. I'm just going to have to replace the slabs after every blast. Whoop. And look at that. One explosion and I got 11 mob heads. 7 zombies, 3 creeper heads, and a skeleton head. And I'll just keep going with this as long as it's raining. I think if the creepers are over on that side, they will not actually get affected by the lightning. They have to be over closer to the other side. That could be an issue because there's only that one creeper there. Yeah, that's not setting them off. The creeper could be bothered if I could encourage it to move to the other side, maybe. There we go. Crying out loud. And light them up. I had to put those slabs in there because otherwise the baby zombies will get out. I would say the storage system leaves something to be desired. It's just dumping everything into a single chest. There's no sorting or anything. But the main purpose of this is just to collect mob heads, so. Let's see if I can light this guy up. He's standing inside something. There we go. Okay, charged up. Build up some more mobs. The rain has stopped, and I have quite a few zombie heads, less creeper and skeleton heads, but the technique does work. I am getting mob heads from it. As a general purpose mob farm, it does work as that, but it's not designed for that. You can see, because I think I got guys dropping off the top there. That's a little bit of an inefficiency, but also the top of the chute is exposed to sky, so a lot of these mobs are just burning up when they hit the bottom, if it's not raining or not nighttime. And the collection system kind of sucks because I'm dumping everything into a single chest without sorting it. But still, I'm getting some gunpowder out of this, which is something that everyone on the realm needs more of. I have to think about whether I want to actually build a farm specifically for gunpowder or not, because it is something needed on the realm, no doubt about it. But there you have it. Maybe not the best general purpose mob farm in the world, but a successful mob head farm, giving me lots of mob heads. Now, I have done this in Java Edition as well, but there are some differences with how it works in Java Edition that makes it really painstaking. A channeling trident only works in a thunderstorm. It can't be just raining, it has to be a thunderstorm. As opposed to Bedrock Edition, it'll work even in a rainstorm. That makes it a lot more common. because rain is so much more common than thunderstorm. In addition, you only get a single mob head for every charge creeper explosion, no matter how many other mobs that charge creeper blows up in Java Edition. Whereas Bedrock Edition, every mob that's blown up by a charge creeper drops its head, so you can get multiple heads per charge creeper. These differences make it painfully tedious to grind out mob heads in Java Edition. But if you want to see me try to do that in Java Edition, check out this video here. Otherwise, next time I might work on collecting a different kind of mob head. Anamon chooses Divergence SMP.